Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for next week, 10 days for today's second video. It'll take us to around the 10th, 11th of February. And we're going to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECMWF, which runs for around a couple of weeks. That takes us just about to the second half of February. Now, JMA Friday was released earlier on today. It's your month-ahead look ahead. And it looks as though we're going to be in for quite a cold February, but there is a lot of disagreement between the JMA and the CFS. The JMA is going to town, really, on northern blocking, especially in the second half of the month, wants to produce big Greenland blocking. CFS has a Scandinavian high, but it wants to bring up a southerly southeast wind and turn us quite mild. So what we make of it all, I'm not sure. It's just a further confusion within the model output. And you'll see how the shorter range models are comparing to those longer range model outputs for today's second video. Just say that Terry Scully's February forecast will be released at 7 o'clock this evening to Gazovitz. I think, as always, that will be quite an interesting read. Terry's January forecast has done very well, I think. So you'll see what Terry's forecasting for February tonight around 7 o'clock. Before we do anything else, I've got a load of pictures to show you. So if you would like to have your pictures shared in the videos, there are various ways you can do it. You can email them to us at gazlovitz@gmail.com. You can post them in the comment box at Gazlovitz, or share them on our Facebook and Twitter accounts. The pictures I'm going to show you right now are a selection. I can't show you everything that everybody has sent us because we'd be here for a couple of hours. So I'm just going to show you some of the pictures that everybody has sent. But a big thank you to all of you for sending your pictures through. So this one, first of all, is from David Allen in North Shropshire. And this is from Wednesday, when they had a bit of a snow event up there in Shropshire on Wednesday. David emailed this to me yesterday. So we've also got Peter Napolino from Stratford-upon Avon. Not much snow there. Peter is reporting a little bit disappointing for snowfall there. As ever with UK snow, you'll get some areas that get a lot of snow, some areas that get very little. This is one of the places that has had a lot of snow. This is Bath from Daniel Wilson. Deep snow down there. I mean, look at all that snow they've got down in Bath this afternoon. I think it's still snowing even now. This is also another picture from Bath. This is from Leon. So Leon emailed this, and again, pretty deep snow down there in Bath, in the southwestern part of the country. This is from Carl Gentleman in Andover. So right down in the south, pretty deep snow there this afternoon, and the snow is still coming down as well. Carl posted that in the comment box at Gazlovitz. This one is from Paul Elkins in Somerset. Again, pretty deep snow there in Somerset this morning. So again, Paul posted that in the comment box at Gazlovitz. This is from Snowflake. It's in Bristol snow, and again, look how deep that snow is in Bristol. So again, it's Bath, Bristol, over towards Oxford, those sort of areas. I think we highlighted the area that has been hit hardest quite well on the snow watch that we did on Wednesday evening. Didn't update Snowwatch yesterday because it all looked like it was pretty much on course for what we said on Wednesday, so I didn't really see a lot of point in updating that, and I'm really quite pleased with how it's come out. Some places like Wales, we was highlighting Chance Wales, I'm not sure I had quite as much there in Wales, but I think broadly the areas we thought, South Wales, kind of like the West Country up in towards the Southwest and Midlands, those areas, and kind of like Bath, Bristol, Oxford, those sort of places, I think have done quite well in terms of where we expected it to be. So again, pretty deep snow there in Bristol. This one is also from Snowflake. It's a snowman from Snowflake down there in Bristol. This one is from David Brown. I think David is in Luton. This was shared with us on Facebook. So Luton had some pretty heavy snow. This is from Lee Stone in Bidford in North Devon. Snow go rather patchy down there this afternoon, but they had some pretty heavy snow yesterday. This one is from Luke Bowers. It's Hinxton on the Devon-Cornwall border from last night, and again looking really snowy down there on the Devon-Cornwall border. Of course, some people did unfortunately get a bit stranded, I think, as we saw on the news. This is an indication of that. This is from Chris Bell showing the A30 on Bodmin Moor, and you can see those cars pretty much at a standstill. This is from yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening. The cars at a standstill down there. They don't get much snow down in Devon and Cornwall, but when they do, especially over the moors, Exmoor, Dartmoor, Bodmin Moor, they really do know about it. This one, again from Facebook, is from Mikey Rawcliffe. It's showing snow down there in Portsmouth. So even on the south coast, they did have some snow there last night. This is from, now I'm going to try and get the name right. It's from Miltiades Orphandis. Again, it's from Portsmouth, so I hope I pronounced that okay. Portsmouth snow from last night. This one is from Simon Felburn. I think Simon's in North London, maybe in the Luton area. Not quite sure where Simon is, but again, pretty deep snow there earlier on today. So again, big thank you to all the people that shared their pictures on Facebook. And then finally, just go through a few on Twitter. So this one is from WX Forecast. It's showing heavy snow in Oxfordshire. So again, we did highlight that perhaps Oxfordshire will be one of those places, Oxford, that might get some fairly deepish snow. And there we go, pretty heavy snow there. This one is showing snow coming down in Wiltshire. So this is from Will Smith. Deep snow in Wiltshire. Very unusual places to be getting this snow event. Kind of like Wiltshire, those very Devon, parts of Cornwall have had heavy snow along the south coast. And then, of course, further north up towards kind of like Bristol, Bath, Oxford. Those sort of areas do tend to get it a little bit, especially when you get closer towards the Cotswolds. This one is from Ruth Muirhead. I'm not sure where Ruth is, but it's showing some fairly heavy snow there. It looks like it's somewhere in Wales, and we'll carry on down, share a couple more. So that's a video from Brett Johnson showing some snow in Stockholm. So they're having snow over there. This one is from David Murden. Again, it's showing snow coming down in Oxford. So right in the city centre of Oxford, it looks pretty snowy there amongst the spires of Oxford. Again, David Murden showing snow over the river. And then this is from USM. It's showing snow in the Chilterns. Of course, elevation in the Chilterns, they've had some pretty deep snowfalls there. This one is from Adrian Major. Again, not sure where this is. I think it's probably somewhere in the southwestern part of the country. So again, pretty deep snow where Adrian is. And Glenn Hunt showing snow coming down in Stroud too. So pretty deep snow there. This one is from Jamie in Pucklechurch, Bristol. Measuring the snow, and got 17 centimetres of snow there in Bristol. So we did highlight Bristol as one of the areas that could be favoured for this snow event, and I'm pleased I did it because they really are coming away with some quite heavy snow indeed. Darren Shaw, BCFC, is showing snow there as well. I've got a feeling that's probably going to be in the Bristol area. That's another one from Jamie showing deep snow in Bristol. Keith Farrow showing 17 centimetres in Chippingham, Wiltshire, and it's still snowing there as well. So just show you a couple more. Again, that's Darren Shaw, BCFC, pretty deep snow through there. And again, we see that from Ruth Muirhead, we've got fairly deep snow going on in Wales. That's about as much time as I've got to show you. This is from Adrian Major showing more snow in Stroud. That's Cardiff. So again, pretty deep snow there in Cardiff. and that's Nick Fielding. Again, it's from Bristol. So that's about much time I've got to show you. Thank you to all of you for sharing your pictures with us. Again, if I've missed any out, I'm really sorry. Just haven't got time to show the pictures that everybody has sent through. We'll perhaps do a few more tomorrow in one of tomorrow's video updates. But again, if you would like to have your pictures featured in the videos, then you can email them to us at gazworth@gmail.com. You can share them on our chat box at Gazworth. It's the website. You can share them on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and we're always happy to feature the pictures in the videos when we get the time. Right, so let's have a look at what's going on right now then. And this is a situation with the radar picture from the weatheroutlook.com. So this is the area just here. It's been snowing really since last night, all through today. It's this area just here, kind of like it's a limited area, but it's kind of like from sort of Yeovil, Bath, going up towards Bristol and over towards Oxford and then down towards Salisbury. Been just continuously snowing through that area through the morning. It's not really heavy, but it is continuous, and so the snow depths are just piling and piling up. As already seen, 17 centimetres in parts of Bristol, and it's still going on. Now, in the southeast, we've got an interesting situation because we've had more sort of rain, sleety type conditions in this southeastern corner. But as colder air starts to dig back in again, we're going to find some of this turning back to snow through this afternoon and this evening. So there might be some snow coming up for the far southeastern corner later on this afternoon, this evening. London and those areas in the southeast. Don't rule out the chance of showery rain and sleet turning back towards snow. Further north, we've got snow showers coming in off the North Sea, so they're starting to heading towards eastern parts of England. They might trickle in out. I know a lot of you in the Midlands. I'm in the Midlands. I'm in Northamptonshire. And we've done very, very poorly from this. Just had a little dusting of snow overnight. But for those of you in the Midlands, particularly the North and East Midlands, I mean, going up towards Lincolnshire, Yorkshire, you might get more from these snow showers through the course of this afternoon and this evening, because you can see there are some pretty beefy showers in there, some quite bright colours, and certainly enough to produce a covering of snow in some areas. I mean, going further north still, we find quite a lot of snow showers across Scotland. If I show you the dew point, quite interesting. You can see that most parts of the country have dew points at or below freezing. In this southeastern corner, the dew point is above freezing, so that's the reason you've been getting more of a wintry mix through the course of today. But these colder dew points are digging back in from the north, and they will continue to do so through the course of this afternoon and this evening. So that's why we could well see some of that rain and sleet in the southeast turning increasingly towards snow. Let's look at the precipitation types. You see all of this mass that we've had all day across that sort of area of Oxford, Bath, and Bristol, those areas. That is all snow. This stuff down here in the southeast has primarily been rain for this morning, but it can be expected to turn back towards snow. It doesn't show the snow showers in the north and the east all that well, but most of these are snow showers again across northern and eastern Britain, because the dew point is quite a bit around close to freezing. Although you see towards the coast, actually the dew point is just a little bit above freezing, so it's quite marginal there. But I think again, many of those showers are going to turn increasingly to snow across those eastern parts of the country through the course of this afternoon and through the course of this evening too. Let's have a look at some models. So this is Icon. I think Icon's done fairly well out of this. Now we're at the Weather Outlook. You can see this area of snow across the southern parts of the country at the moment. So this is how it was for instance at 9 o'clock this morning. As we go through to this evening, again you see that showery rain in the south. You've got the snow showers there across north east Scotland, down east parts of England. There's a rain in the southeast. It could well start turning increasingly towards snow snow again through the course of this evening. And not really clearing away from that very far southeast corner too. So we might get a bit of a snow event down there in the southeast overnight tonight and into tomorrow. I'm talking about the south and east of London, but you might get some fairly significant snow if you're down there. You'll have to let me know how that panned out tomorrow. Generally quiet today, tomorrow. Many of the snow showers dying away. It'll be very cold overnight Saturday in sunny, and then more precipitation moving in off the Atlantic as we're going through the course of Sunday. So that's bringing rain into north and west, but some of that could turn to snow again as it hits the cold air, particularly suggested to be across northern England. And then on Monday, that's when we get our real push of Atlantic winds, bringing much milder air and wet weather in off the Atlantic Ocean. Snow primarily then restricted towards Scotland. This is how the ECMWF was forecast things. This is from tammeteo.com. So again, this is showing snow across much of the south. This green area is primarily snow. It was showing snow across much of the south at 6 o'clock this morning. The forecast was to keep that snow going through those central southwestern parts of the country. So pretty decent, I think, with the area so it was expecting. By the time you get through 6 o'clock this evening, it was showing that snow reappearing across parts of London and down to the southeast as well. So don't be surprised if you're in the capital or you're in the southeast that you might get some snow through the course of this evening and into the night. Particularly these snow showers continue, of course, in the east and in the northeast as well. Tomorrow everything calms down gradually. All this rain and snow clears away. We go into a very cold night overnight Saturday into Sunday, and then we bring this next batch of precipitation in during the course of Sunday. That's bringing rain, sleet, snow, potentially for parts of northern England in particular through the course of Sunday afternoon. That gets out of the way, and then this is Monday, bringing proper heavy rain in from the west. Some snow possible with that for Scotland, northern England and northern Ireland. But as the milder air tucks in, most of that will turn back towards rain, and then we go into a rather milder period, I think, during the sort of middle part of next week. I'm just going to pause the video there and get the rest of the chart set up for the rest of the video and get rid of some of these tabs, and then we'll carry on having a look at the weather for the next week, 10 days. So I'll see you in around 30 seconds time. Alright, we're back and we're ready to do a little bit of forecasting next. So we're going to see what the GFS and the ECMWF models are showing for the next week to 10 days. Before I just tell you that the central England temperature for January is in. So we've got the CET at Goudsworth. It now goes all the way back to the year of 1659. Of course, the central England temperature is the longest, most consistent temperature record anywhere in the world. Although going back to 1659, obviously it's very unreliable, particularly in terms of the way they would have measured the temperature back then. But anyway, we can come down to 2019. There we go, and we can confirm that January 2019 comes out at 4.0 for the CET, bang on 4 degrees, which compared to the modern average of 81 to 2010, the modern average for January of 81 to 2010 is 4.4. So it's actually a little bit colder than average than the 81 to 2010 average. Compared to 61 to 1990, the old and cold temperature average, which is 3.8, it's 0.2 of a degree above average. I think whichever temperature series you take, you basically say that we've had close to average month during January. I really regard any temperature that's within half a degree either side of average as basically being an average month. But very close, actually, with 81 to 2010, very close to being a colder than average month. If we got to 3.9, I think would have been able to say that we'd had a cold and average month. But 4.0, we're just within that half a degree realm of saying it was an average month, but certainly it was average, but on the colder than average side, and quite an interesting month as well. It started off very mild. One point, I think the CET was running at around 8.0. So to shave off that much is quite impressive, really. We did it in around 3 weeks too. So we'll have more stats for January, of course, when the UK-wide temperatures come in the next few days at Hadley. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. Looking at Conwy over in Wales today, another suggested place on our list for this part of the video. So we're starting cold at the moment, of course. Temperatures are below average, somewhere between -5 and -10. At 850 HPA. We're going to see the temperature staying cold into the weekend, but then later in the weekend and through next week in particular, those temperatures are lifting up. So around middle of next week, we're looking quite mild actually, going to around 5 Celsius at 850 HPA, a little bit milder than average. You might get the temperatures up to double digits around Wednesday. After that, we drop down towards the 30-year temperature average. It looks like we stay there really, although, again, this is masking a lot of scatter within the GFS ensembles. So, again, we have several ensemble members that are up here that are really quite mild, but several that are down here that are really quite cold. So there is a lot of scatter there within the GFS ensembles, particularly as we're going into the second week of February. There's quite a lot of uncertainty. It looks really unsettled for Conwy. So we're going to have precipitation really from over the weekend and then going through into next week and into the second week of February even. Just lots of precipitation spikes. It does look as though, I mean, it's one of the wettest places over there in Wales. Of course, it's going to be exposed to the bands of rain off the Irish Sea and ultimately from the Atlantic. So it's going to be a fairly wettish place. But it's indicative of what we're seeing within most of the ensemble output at the moment, which is for things to be increasingly unsettled through the course of next week, possibly lasting even into the second week of the month. Temperature anomalies from the 1st to the 9th of February, a little bit colder than average. We've got a couple more cold days to come and some very cold nights over the weekend as well. These will start to recover, I think, these charts in the next few days. We may even start to go a little bit milder than average when we look at these around Monday or Tuesday. But for now, still colder than average for the UK and most of Western Europe too. Precipitation anomalies. So despite that ensemble, which looks very unsettled and wet across Conwy, actually, the precipitation anomaly from the 1st to the 9th of February is average to, for northern areas, possibly a little bit drier than average. But I suppose that's encompassing this cold and relatively dry weather, except where we've got those limited areas of snow, of course. It's not dry in somewhere like Bristol or Bath. But outside of those limited areas, because that is a small area for the overall country, of course, that's got that heavy snow. Through most places, it's actually just cold and dry today and will be cold and dry over the weekend. So not till next week, but it starts to turn wet. So I expect these charts to trend both milder and wetter in the days ahead. This is how the midnight run of the GFS was looking. So I had quite an interesting midnight GFS run turning up. This is on Monday. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain in from the west, as we already saw earlier in the video. Through the course of Tuesday and Wednesday, low pressure continues to drive in off the Atlantic, bringing more bouts of wet weather in, and that continues into the second half of next week. But by the end of next week, we're starting to raise, or we were on the midnight GFS run, starting to raise heights up over Scandinavia. And what actually happened is that next weekend of the 9th, 10th of February, this high pressure over Scandinavia started to become increasingly influential and really did start to block off the Atlantic Ocean. So at Adventures, we go through to day 10, which is Monday the 11th of February. We are beginning to turn the wind into the east, starting to drag colder air out of the east again as these areas of low pressure are held off in the Atlantic. And those easterlies continued, albeit quite slackly, in towards the middle part of February as well. So it's high pressure, it's wall of high pressure over Scandinavia, continues to block off the Atlantic, so continue to bring cold air in from the east. That's how we look. We're a very long way out now at 348 hours, but that's how we look on Friday the 15th of February. Still high pressure dominating from Scotland to Scandinavia, still bringing in those winds from the east. And they are dragging in really quite cold upper air temperatures as well. So you see the minus 10 Celsius iceberg was pushing into most parts of the UK, and it's even colder than that further east. Real big freeze across many central and northern parts of Europe. And that's how we ended up with the midnight GFS run. High pressure looks like it's beginning to inch its way out towards the west of us. Maybe just the first hints that it might be trying to push itself up towards Greenland. We saw with JMA Friday that the JMA wants to produce Greenland blocking for the second half of February, whereas the CFS wants to keep the high pressure over Scandinavia, albeit wasn't particularly cold. The latest GFS run, as I'm recording the video, the 6 o'clock run, when you're watching this, the midday run will be updated, of course, but for the 6 o'clock run, again, unsettled on Monday, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic Ocean, and then through next week we keep these low pressures driving in off the Atlantic. Notice by Friday 8th of February, a week away, the high pressure over Scandinavia is much weaker there, so we're just continue to drive these areas of low pressure in from the Atlantic Ocean, and that's what how it carried on with the 6 o'clock GFS runs. That takes us up to day 10, Monday the 11th of February. Again, looking wet and windy with low pressure driving in off the Atlantic. The high pressure that the midnight GFS run had over Scandinavia is back there into Russia. So huge differences between the operational GFS runs at the moment. Just again highlighting the uncertainty that we've got within both the short and the long range model output. Into extended range for 6 o'clock GFS run, this Atlantic Fest continued. That's how we ended up on the 17th of February, just turning wind round to the north a little bit, but overall everything is still driving in from off the Atlantic. So the midnight GFS run was cold and blocked with increasingly cold easterly winds. The 6 o'clock GFS run was unsettled, wet, windy and relatively mild as well. Huge differences between the placement of any Scandinavian blocking. This is the ECMWF for Monday. Again, low pressure is coming in off the Atlantic, bringing quite a lot of rain through the course of next week. The low pressure continues to drive in from the Atlantic. Now, the ECM is raising heights over Scandinavia by the end of next week to some degree, not as much as the midnight GFS run did, but more than the 6 o'clock run of the GFS did. So this is somewhere in the middle of the two GFS operational runs. Again, for us primarily it's low pressure that's still driving in off the Atlantic, but certainly if that came off we would be having to keep a watchful eye on what's going on over Scandinavia, because it is getting that high pressure up to around 1,030 millibars. In the more extended range with the ECM, stays unsettled, but we begin to pull down some colder air from the north. So this is a different solution again. This is sort of going back to the kind of pattern we've had this week, actually, which is ridging out to the north and west, pulling cold, but not desperately cold, but certainly cold enough for wintry conditions, cold air down from the north. It's that kind of pattern that the ECM was going for. So I suppose kind of like a blend, really, between the operational midnight and 6 o'clock GFS. Sitting somewhere in the middle of those two extremes in a way. So perhaps that's going to be the way we go. We'll have to wait and see. Finally, these are the ECM ensembles. I have a postage stamps looking from the ECM ensembles from the Icelandic Met Office for day 10. These are the options that are on the table for day 10, which of course is going to be that's going to be the 12th of February, I think. But actually looking at that, it looks like it's showing the 12th of January. So let's just go down here, and I think something's gone a little bit wrong there. So actually, I think we better abandon that. That's showing January's postage stamps. Good job I noticed that. So doesn't look like they've updated at the Icelandic Met Office for today, I don't think. Let's just have another go at refreshing this and see what we come out with. So no, that definitely is showing January's postage stamps. So I think we will move on from that. Let's perhaps change that over. So we go to 02 there and 01 just there. That might yield what we're looking for. So yes, this is what we want. This is going to be from the 1st of February. So these are the options that are on the table for the 1st of February with the ECM ensembles via the Icelandic Icelandic Met Office. So this is taking us to the 11th of February, day 10. We've got 20 ECM ensemble members that look like this. They're unsettled with low pressure close to the country, and they're driving in the winds from off the Atlantic, so they're mild and unsettled. Then we've got 16, including the operational ECM run, the run that we're just looking at, that do have some northern blocking up to our north, and they have low pressure to like the south and the east of the UK, so they're pulling down colder air from the north. We saw that the ECM operational run did finish up quite cold. It did it from a northerly direction. And then we've got another 15 ensemble members that look like that. So these ones have high pressure up over Scandinavia, but they also take that high pressure down into western parts of Europe with low pressure out to the west of the UK. These are driving in the winds from off the Atlantic Ocean, but it's a bit of a battleground situation. They're probably quite mild, but they could yield cold weather fairly soon afterwards. And then in 2 weeks, this is how things are looking. This is going to be the 16th of February, 360 hours. So we've got 36 members of the ECM ensembles that look like this, with low pressure close to the UK. They're still bringing in the winds from the west. And then there's 15. It's a minority option, but a fairly substantial minority that have high pressure to the northeast of the UK over Scandinavia, so they're bringing in cold air from the east. So by the time you get through to the middle of February, the ECM ensembles are favouring generally quite Atlantic-driven conditions, but with a minority option to have Scandinavian blocking and to have cold easterlies. So again, it's just very uncertain time, as it has been all winter. It's been a very, very complicated winter to forecast. To be honest, I'll be glad when it's out the way and we're into spring, because it has been a very, very difficult winter to forecast for this, with lots of uncertainty, even within the short-range model output, being conflicts between the long-range models like the JMA, which has consistently been going for northern blocking, but we've never really got there in terms of the shorter range model output. And it's just been a very confused winter indeed, particularly since that southern stratospheric warning. I think that's what threw everything into uncertainty. The long-range model output wanted to produce significant northern blocking from that southern stratospheric warming, but the short-range model output up to now hasn't been able to see it. But maybe we will eventually get there through the course of February. It'll be interesting to see what Terry Scully is expecting for February when he releases his February forecast tonight around 7 o'clock at Gazweather's. Right, that's brought you up to date with everything, so thanks so much for watching. Tomorrow we'll have weekend broadcasts, of course, as always on a Saturday, have your weather for the week ahead, and also have a week to 10 day video update as well. Big weekend of updates coming up, because on Sunday we're going to have Gazweather's Sunny Roundup. We're going to be able to bring you some spring analogues at last, and then maybe some summer analogues showing up on Sunday as well, so that could be quite interesting. But at 32 minutes, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.